Welcome and thanks for joining us at the Serve with Purpose podcast. Pull up a chair and sit in as we talk through ideas, challenges, and opportunities shaping our local government communities. We keep it real, focused on leadership, strategy, and practical solutions for the people doing the work every day. I'm Lisa Hagberg, here with my business partner and friend, Ben Kafferlin. Let's dive in. Welcome to our inaugural Serve with Purpose podcast. I'm here with Ben, and we're going to just talk about our experiences in local government and why we wanted to do this podcast.
And it's exciting to be here because we have been talking about doing this for years.
At least 2 years.
And it's been on your heart to do a podcast, definitely for years.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to finally be here, finally doing it. Congratulations.
Thanks. I know, it is pretty cool.
Why don't we dive right into why this has been on your heart for such a long time?
It's been on my heart because as I go and work in communities, and when I started my career in local government, I realized how many people in communities are serving and working hard for the community, and they're like the unsung heroes. Nobody tells them thank you. Most of the time, people don't even know that they do something to serve their community. And my ultimate goal is that we get to tell some of those stories.
I love that. For my part, I'm excited to join you in this because there's a lot of things that I've learned in my years in local government that are surprising to other people that are in public administration. And so I feel like there's these reoccurring things that I end up teaching people. I'm like, well, if 10 of my closest city manager friends don't know this, we should probably get that out there. So I'm really excited to get into some of the kind of technical things. Like, yes, local government can receive donations and actually issue a tax deduction notice. Like, I've found that a lot of people in government don't know that. But I'm also really excited to see some of the conversations like how to get rid of toxic people in your organization. I mean, you and I, through our years of working together, have had to do that several times now. And it's really hard. And one thing that you commented on the last time we did it was we should have done that a year ago. We knew that. Why didn't we just do it when we knew? So I want to dive into stuff like that, like lessons learned.
I say that, but you know I'm a rehabber of people, so I feel like we have to continually to work and build people that are serving in these roles. So it's really extreme before we get to that point.
For absolute sure. Yeah. So what's in the name?
The name is Serve with Purpose because we are out there serving communities with so much purpose and the vision that we want to share. I'd like you to share that right now, why we are out in these communities in Pennsylvania.
Okay. So for me, this goes back to a conversation that I had with a pretty well-known theologian. He and I were out to lunch after church one day, and I had just been to my hometown, like Warren, Pennsylvania. But at the time I worked in Washington, D.C. So I was here for the 4th of July. Saw, a lot of poverty, frankly. I drove through several communities that I won't name, but in between Warren, Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C. And I remember just thinking when I got to D.C., what opulence we had there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of poverty too, but, like the assessed value of any of those buildings in Georgetown or something doesn't even, is not even comparable to a similar building in Warren. And I remember thinking the contrast is just so sharp. So at this lunch, my friend said, "What is it that breaks your heart about society that you want to see fixed?" He said, "I've noticed that you don't seem to be very happy doing what you're doing," which is funny because I actually did enjoy the work. I was good at it. It seemed like it was a good fit in a lot of ways. But he was right. There was something that was missing. And so this theologian wisely asked, what is it that breaks your heart about society? And I said, having just come off of that trip, that 4th of July trip, what breaks my heart about society is to see Penn's holy experiment dying, the American experiment kind of falling away. I don't see the same kind of community that I did when I was growing up, where there were still quilting bees, barn raisings. We played softball every Tuesday night. Every able-bodied guy was part of the fire department. We all went to the same community church. That kind of thing is dying away. And as I drove through unkept ball fields and blighted properties and fire departments that couldn't get out the door and such, that's what broke my heart. He said, what are you doing to fix that? And I realized, nothing. So that's when I decided to move back to small town Pennsylvania and serve my community. So that's actually why I started the company that we now own together, 13 years later. But it really comes back to that question of like, what breaks your heart about society that you want to see fixed? For me, I want to see small town Pennsylvania and small town America flourish. And so that's why I get up in the morning. That's why I love doing the work that we do together. And that's why I'm also excited about this podcast, because we're going to amplify everything that we're learning and we're teaching to the communities, but now like to the rest of the nation.
I love that. My own journey is I worked in public accounting, and when I found myself searching for a job landed in local government, I had no idea that was my place and how much I would fit there and solving human problems. So even though I didn't see it the same way you did, what breaks my heart about society and small towns, I capture that vision now, of course, in the work that we're doing together, but it felt like home. And so when I sat in that role as a municipal manager and then a finance director, I just felt like I was in the place where I was always meant to be. And the answers came pretty easily, and we were able to solve good problems with amazing humans. And even though they don't always like what we're doing or how we do it, we were able to find common ground. And I want to tell a story about that.
Yeah.
So when I first started in municipal leadership, it was really a struggle because the community was in contention. And I've thought about this so many times throughout my journey of how simple solving problems can be. And I had a lot of community members coming in upset. And so one of the things that myself and the other ladies that I was working with in my office decided to do was buy a Keurig. We probably wanted it for ourselves, but it became an easy task to ask people if they wanted a hot beverage, a coffee or a tea or a bottle of water. And I immediately found how people calm down, even in their anger or their anxiety, when you offered them something. And I realized that way back then that solving problems with people was going to be easy if we just set them at ease and had a conversation like we're having today. And I have found that to be true many, many times. And I think that's why I just, over time, have become to love all this work we do more and more and more.
I want to tell you my perspective on hearing about you and your Keurig. So this was 11 years ago, 2015. I was running for county commissioner. And I actually don't remember where we met. I think it might have been a Council of Governments meeting.
Probably.
I have found the emails since then that we started exchanging the next day. And that's when we became friends and started talking about all these things. But anyway, I had heard about you. Specifically, I remember hearing stories about how rather than citing somebody for tall grass that violated the code, you grabbed a weed whacker and went out and cut the grass for them yourself. I've heard a bunch of stories about you as a small town municipal manager, just loving your neighbor really well. So that's how I became, that's how you hit my radar, I guess. And that Keurig is part of that story. So really it comes down to, I think, like, we love our neighbors well. But I have a question, which is, in that small town of 1,700 people?
Yep.
You had the capacity to love pretty much everyone that came through that door with a complaint. You could make a Keurig coffee for them. Now we're in a community right now that we're managing is closer to 20,000. And I guess the question is, how does that scale? Does the principle still work when you're in a bigger community?
I think the principle does still work, but it might not be me personally, the one that spends time with every person, offering them a beverage or a sit-down conversation. It's a culture that we want to create in that community, so that every leader within that community is empowered to do that on their own. And it doesn't have to be the manager, because lots of the department heads can solve problems that I can't solve with people in the community. So I think it still rings true. It's just not going to be me that gets to do it all the time.
Yeah, that's a great elevation. I mean, now you're taking what I think you do so well, that really listening and understanding the underlying problems and loving your neighbor well, and loving the staff well, so that they can in turn spread that to the entire community and everyone they touch.
Yeah.
Which is why, by the way, the staff meetings that we split our staff meetings, but the ones that you do are almost always about customer service, customer service, customer service. Can you tell me a little bit more about your philosophy of customer service and what that looks like? Particularly how does the manager impart that kind of heart to the staff that are on the front lines?
Well, I think that, leading by example is going to be the person that I want to be, and then in turn empower them to lead by example. And just our job there is to care for people. That's the role we have. We're serving with purpose. And so I want every one of our team members to be empowered to care for people by offering good customer service. And I'm not talking about being walked on or being screamed at, which we know happens, but I'm just talking about thoughtfully. Sometimes we have to tell people, that's not the way I'm going to be spoken to, and come back when you're not angry, or just giving them good tools so that they can lead well too.
That's good. Okay, so we talked about why we're doing this podcast. We talked about the name, what it means. What kind of things do you want? Well, now we're on to the what. What do you want to impart? Do you want to tell some stories? Can you give us some teasers?
I want to tell some stories. I also want to give people good teachings. The tools that you have in your toolbox are different from my toolbox. And so together, that is what makes us a good partnership, and what helps us get out into the community and better together. And so, but I do want to tell people stories. I was just talking to a department head in the community that we're working in about sharing how he leads his team. And he's been with the community for almost 30 years, and just what makes him tick. And I'm just excited to tell those stories. The guy down the road that shuffles people's sidewalks and driveways in the winter, and no one even knows it's him. I want to tell his story, what motivates him, what makes him do that. And the people that are leading efforts in communities, like revitalization efforts, and just why and how hard it is. One of my favorite people in the community that I worked in, she always taught me that there's no mountain too big. We're either going to go over it, we're going to go around it, or we're going to smash through it. And I want to tell
who that is.
I want to tell her story. I want her to tell her story. Yeah. And so I'm really hoping she's one of our first guests on our podcast.
Yeah, I think that's a great segue to my next question, which is essentially, who are we going to have on this I mean, you're probably going to be on almost every episode. I'm guessing I'll be on a bunch. We're going to invite guests.
Yeah. I think we need to go to people too. Sometimes we'll take this podcast on the road. We're going to invite people and record people that say yes.
So we can be on the lookout for something like 15, 20-minute conversations on a pretty regular basis.
Yep.
That guy that's shoveling snow to... I personally would love to invite some of the people that are thoughtfully implementing some local government public policy. So How do you do a good compensation analysis? How do you talk to an employee that doesn't think they're making enough? I don't know anything about my MMO payment calculations. Like, how is that done? Mm-hmm. Should I be self-funded or not? Mm-hmm. So on and so forth.
So for those of you out there that are listening and want to hear more on the technical side and then the human side, we invite you to listen to our podcast, and we'll let you know next time we drop an episode.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
We appreciate you listening today, but we can't let you go without a quick disclaimer. The ideas shared here reflect our experience working with communities and local governments like yours. However, we're not your solicitor, your auditor, or your therapist, so this podcast should not be considered legal, financial, or professional advice. If you've enjoyed the conversation, we hope you'll subscribe and join us again for the next episode.